Hi, my name is Sanath and I welcome you to Wizzygen, which is a platform to create AI generated content on your Notion workspace. In order to start using Wizzygen, we need to do a few settings in the settings tab, and then you can click on create to start generating the content. So in order to jump to the settings, you can simply click on this gear icon on the home screen, or you can click on the settings on the sidebar to jump to settings tab. Once you're in the settings tab, we need to define few settings that you can see on the screen. First is the connection database, which we need to define. Now connections is where it holds all the different connections that you're going to build in between the Wizzygen and the Notion workspace. So how to define the connections database? Simply click on the icon over here on the right. Once you click on this, it will open up a new template for you, which you need to duplicate onto your local workspace. So in order to duplicate the template, simply click on this duplicate over here. Once you click on duplicate, a pop-up will open which will allow you to select the particular workspace where you want to duplicate this particular template. So as you can see, I've selected this workspace and I'll click on add to private. Once I click on this, it will automatically duplicate the connections database to my Notion workspace. Once this is done, we will simply copy the URL of the connections database and I will put it in the settings tab. So let us wait for a few minutes as it completes this process. So as you can see, it has duplicated the connections database. And now what need to do is I'll simply click over here on the top. I'll copy this and I'll put it in the connections database so that it gets stored over here. The next step after this is selection of the AI engine. So for selection of AI engine, what we need to do is if you click on the drop down, we have different engines available over here. We have Gemini as well as GPT. If you're selecting Gemini, you need to define the Gemini API key over here. If you're selecting GPT, you need to define the OpenAI API key over here. So let's see how it can be done. So once we have defined the connections database, it is now time to define the AI engine. So as you can see, we have different AI engines available. We have Gemini as well as GPT. If you are selecting Gemini, you need to define the Gemini API key. And if you are selecting GPT, you need to define the OpenAI API key. So I have also got two tabs open up over here. One is for the Gemini as well as for the OpenAI over here. So you need to head over to aistudio.google.com and then you need to click on get API key over here. Once you click on this, it will ask you to create a new API key. Since I've already created an API key, I'm just going to simply copy this and I'm going to put it over here under my AI API key part. Okay. Similarly, for the OpenAI, you just need to head over to the OpenAI platform, that is the platform.openai.com, and you need to go to the API keys over here and then click on create new secret API key. Once you click on this, it will ask you again for a prompt and you can define the settings and a new secret key will be generated. So once you've got the API key over in here, you need to define the Notion internal integration secret key. Now what is this? The Notion internal integration secret is what connects you with Wizzygen from the local Notion workspace. So Notion workspace is connected to Wizzygen through this internal integration secret, and this is more secure than using a public key. So let's see how you can create a Notion internal integration secret and then we will proceed further. Now before we define the Notion internal integration secret, one thing I would like to tell is that the Gemini offers free access to their engines with some kind of users limitations, while the OpenAI API key is paid one. So if you are looking for a free engine, you can simply select the Gemini and you can start putting the AI API key to test it out. Okay, so now let's jump into the Notion internal integration secret. We have again an icon over here, so we can click on this and it will open up the profile integrations, and from here we will create the new integration for our use. So click on this new integration over here and you can add a name over here. So let's say this is testing integration. I'm just quickly putting, or maybe you can just type in Wizzygen integration and then you can select the workspace where you want to create this integration. So I will just select my own workspace, whatever I'm using. The type will be internal and then I'll click on save. Once you have created this, you can click on configure integration settings and here you can obtain the internal integration secret key. So I'll just show this key and I can copy this particular key and I will just jump back to the Wizzygen and I'll put the key over here. Okay. Remember, this key is secret and this is only applicable to your own local workspace. This is not a public key. So whatever key you create from here, you will be able to connect your own Notion workspace to Wizzygen. You will not be sharing this with anyone and thus it is more secure and more accessible to anyone who is using Notion. Once we have defined everything over here, we'll just click on save. Once we click on save, all the settings will be automatically saved. Now I just want to highlight that all these things that we're entering over here is saved in the local storage. So this means that whenever you are using the web app, the Wizzygen web app, at that time it is being used up, and you can also click on this clear to clear all the things that are defined in the local storage. So this is not saved anywhere on external cloud or anywhere like that. So this is completely safe and secure, which will be accessible at your own and from the system that you're using, and you can also clear this by clicking on this clear button over here. Okay, so now I have defined all the things under the settings. Now before we proceed further into creating our first AI integration with Notion and the Wizzygen, what we need to do is we need to go back to the connections database that we had earlier created, and you can click on these three dots that you see on the top right. So once you click on this three dot and you scroll down, you can see there is an option for connections. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just simply type out Wizzygen, and you can see that it shows the internal connection that I have created recently. So I'll just click on this and I'll click on confirm. So now my Notion, this particular template is connected to Wizzygen through the internal integration secret key that we have created. Okay, now it's time to create our first connection and see how it works out. So I'll click on create. Once I click on create, you can see that it is asking for a few details where you will be able to select either Notion database or Notion page. Now Wizzygen currently works on Notion database and Notion pages. So when you are using any Notion page or Notion database, you can create the AI content on both these things that is Notion is available with. Okay, so I'll just quickly type a name over here. Let's say this is Notion page. I'm typing out. Then I'll select Notion page from here. Once I click on this, then you can see that there is this particular link coming up over here. So I'll click on this. It will give me a sample blank page which I can use is my local workspace. You can create your own page, or you can click on that link and duplicate the same to your particular workspace. So I'll again click on duplicate, and then I'll select the particular workspace that I'm in. So I'll select my Notion workspace, and I'll click on add private. Once I do this, it will automatically duplicate that particular page to my local workspace. Okay, so now it is completely duplicated. Again, I'll click on this three dots and I'll go to the connection and I'll just connect it to the particular Wizzygen integration that we created. You just need to do it for one time. It need not be repeated time and again. Okay, once this is done, I'll click on this link. I'll put it over here and then I'll click on next. Okay, so here you can define your AI prompt which you'll be using to create the AI generated content. Let's see how we can do that. So now you need to simply provide the AI prompt for which you want to create the content. So let's say in this page I want to create a small blog about Notion. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll simply write me a blog on Notion in 100 words. Okay, let's see what it does. And I'll click on generate. As soon as I do that, you can see that this blank page will be filled with a particular blog related to Notion in 100 words. Now this is all AI generated with the settings that we had defined earlier in the settings tab with the Google Gemini and the API key, and it started creating the content on the particular Notion workspace. Okay, so we created all this AI content on the particular Notion page. Okay, so as soon as this is done, and you'll just quickly refresh, you can see that your number of prompts that you're using automatically updates, and every user will get 10 free prompts to start with. Okay, so now if you jump back to the connections, you can see that the connection that you created, it got updated over here and it shows all the settings. If you click on this particular section over here, it shows the particular page that you have created, and you can see the content that is generated over here as well. Okay, so now let's jump back to the create and create a Notion database connection to see how it creates AI content on a Notion database. So once we have created the connection for the Notion page, it's time to test out the Notion database. So let's click on create once again, and I'll put Notion database over here, and then I'll select Notion database from this drop down. And what I'll do is again I'll click on this link to see the sampled Notion database template that is provided alongside this Wizzygen. So this is important because it has all the settings that is required for your use case. So once you click on this, you can see that there's an option to duplicate. Let me click on this duplicate, and let me duplicate that particular template onto my local Notion workspace. Okay, so once I've clicked on that, I'll click on add to private, and it will start duplicating that particular database on my local Notion workspace. Okay, so once that is done, we'll be able to copy the URL of the particular database and then proceed further. Before that, always remember that you have created the integration between the Notion and Wizzygen. For that, we'll click on this three dot, go to connect, and then type out the name of the integration that you have created. In our case, it is Wizzygen. So I'll click on this, I'll click on confirm. Now it is all connected. Okay, so I'll copy this link from here and then I'll put it over here and then click on next. So now you can see that in this database we can define all the different titles that we want to define. So let's say I want to write learning is fun. I'll just quickly write something over here. Notion is best tool. Then I'll write maybe something like social media is a boon. Okay, so I want to create content on these three particular topics, and if you see, everything is blank over here, what we have created from here. Okay, Make sure you click on this checkbox, which will enable to add all the data over here. If you uncheck this, then it will just ignore that particular row. Okay, now let's go back here, and okay, now it's time to define the AI prompt and define what we want to do with it. So if you can see, we have defined 3 different rows over here. Social media is a boon, Notion is best tool, and learning is fun. Okay, so, and you can see everything is empty over here. So what we are going to do is we're going to create content for each of this particular topic for every row that is defined. Remember to make this checkbox ticked so that the content is generated for each of the particular row. Okay, so I'll just write translate the topic to Japanese. Okay, and I'll click on generate, and if you see that it will start generating content for every particular row that is defined over here, and you can see it automatically reads every particular row and gives the required translation for whatever you need for the particular row. So essentially you can define your particular AI prompt over here, whatever you want to define. You can write blogs, you can write any kind of topic that you want to write for both Notion pages as well as Notion database, and you can start generating the content from there. Okay, if you jump back to the connections, you can see that it shows the 2 different connections that we created, and you can also do more kind of sorting and filtering from here, and you can choose a particular connection that you want to choose from. Okay, now from the connections tab, you can select any particular connection and start from where you have left off the work. You can click on any particular connection and it automatically jumps to the create view. You can click on next and you can start from where you have left off from the last time. Okay, and if you want to delete any particular connection, simply go back to the connections and click on this 3 dot and you can click on delete. It will automatically delete the connection that was stored earlier. Okay, if you remember, we had created a connections database while setting it up, and in this database you can see all the different connections that you have created, and you can also do all kind of different sortings, or you can delete anything as and when you wish. Okay, so this is a quick demonstration of what was required for your use case. Now remember that a new signed in user will get 10 free prompts to start with, and as you keep on using the prompts, you can choose to upgrade from the upgrade tab. Okay, and besides this, we have the feedback as well. So if you have any feedback for me, you can enter your message and send the feedback, and I'll be happy to work on that request. And so that's it for the quick demonstration for Wizzygen. I hope you utilize this platform to generate the AI content for your requirement, and have fun. Thank you.